Hey everybody, welcome back. Did you miss us? It's the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name's Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
We are so happy to be back for season 2. You ready to do this, man?
I am. I've been waiting for this.
I know and we had some fun in the off season. We got a new logo,
We did.
and that is a fantastic logo.
It's well received.
Yes, people are laughing at it, which is all I wanted.
That's
Basically, that's what I wanted
That was
people
the
to
point.
do. So that's great. So everybody, we're really happy to be back with you. We're gonna have two episodes for you this week. This one, and then we'll do a fantasy rugby one later on, a little bit more. Today we're gonna talk about a lot of the World Cup stuff. But first things first, let's do our usual business here. Crack them open.
Oh, you don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah. Texas size 10-4.
I'd have a beer.
And as usual, everybody make sure you check us out on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. Subscribe to us, download us, rate us. Would be awesome. That's always helpful for us. And also, have you checked out your upgrade yet?
I haven't swum around in it too much.
Yeah.
But I did look at it. I mean, it's nice to have.
So I'm looking forward to having
all that information.
The upgrades this year from the Rugby Mag. They do have 3 different levels. We have the basic level. It's gonna be really helpful for one thing really that I think is everybody would find helpful, and it'll tell you whether somebody's starting or not.
Yeah.
So that one thing right there
extremely
is
helpful.
huge. So if you're just looking for basics and you want that little thing, cool. They have something that's just that easy. But if you want to ball out, they have levels all the way up to gold. So everybody make sure you check out your Rugby Mag upgrades and see if maybe you could find some use out of that, because I think we've already found use out of it just by knowing that little tidbit right there. So yeah, news and notes. Jordan Crane is going to be done at the end of this year. He's got to join the Bristol coaching staff or backroom staff, one or the other. I mean, hats off to him. He's played some damn good rugby, and he's somebody I've always thought well of.
And I agree, and I think he's timing this right. He doesn't. I think I asked a couple times last year why he was carrying a piano on his back. And,
just a bit.
And you start to lose that speed, and you're not quite going to be the same player.
Yeah, no way.
Especially in a back row position, you kind of need to be able to open it up a little bit every so often.
Yeah, and especially the modern day back rower where you're basically another center out there,
right.
or even another wing. So you definitely want to be able to move about. But he's come through. He's one of those guys that survived a couple of ages of rugby, going from mostly professional, but kind of still somewhat amateurish now to the game today, where it's just unbelievably fast,
fitness and speed.
So
and
hats off to him. And then there's a lot being made of the player eligibility rules that are getting thrown around, and I think people are kind of there's a couple things that I think are being missed, and one of them is World Rugby did try and fix this. Now they took 2 steps forward, 1 step back when they said, okay, we're going to make it 5 years, but it's going to be after this World Cup. I was like, okay, you did everything right except that last part where you said you're going to wait on it. I was like, yeah, okay.
They should have done it starting like 2 years before this or a year or 2 before this World Cup, so the guys can make their decision ahead of now.
Yeah.
Or a year ago. And so hopefully there's some wiggle room in there for that.
Yeah.
So guys can be like, hey, can I just, I was here or something, or I don't know, or
I live here.
Yeah.
And, I think it was James Lowe that was talking about how the guys like Klein is Irish by eligibility, but I do find it funny because somebody pointed out he's going to be Irish eligible in like a year actually. So, do you really want to like go down that road if Ireland picks up the phone and calls you and says, "Hey, you want to come play wing for us?" Are you going to say no?
Right.
Because I'm sorry, the Kiwis aren't calling you because number one, you don't play in New Zealand. Number two, I'm sorry, I love James Lowe, but
they got
some talent there.
Right.
Already.
They don't need him.
No.
And that's much more of a statement on Lowe. And not Lowe, but on New Zealand's depth than it is on Lowe. It's like
it's not to say that he's
no team would want to turn him away, but
no,
you don't really if you want to not skirt rules and what have you, then fine. They got more than enough guys that can fill that same role.
Yeah, I agree. Um, so what on the docket for us today is we're going to go through each pool. We'll talk about we'll talk about each team a little bit, and obviously our thoughts on how they'll do here. Some will be obviously very in depth. Others will be like pretty short and to the point. Um, and then we'll talk about the knockout stages and what we could see there. Obviously, winners, surprises, stuff like that. We'll talk about the X factors for some of the big countries that are at this World Cup, and then we'll let you all go. So let's go right to Pool A. And obviously,
can we just skip Pool A? It's gonna be my least favorite pool.
Yeah, but I think it could be one of the more interesting ones because of Japan being the host, obviously, and the two bigger teams in this pool are not in great form right now.
Not.
So that could lead to some interesting things.
I agree.
Japan, Scotland that's going to be a tough one for Scotland, and I know that the Scots have been crapped on in recent weeks because of their poor form, and that they're going to play Japan at home. I don't think that's just like people giving them shit. I think that's a legitimate concern that they should have. You know?
Oh, I agree. I mean, Scotland, I think is they made some odd decisions as far as who they put on the plane.
Rory Hutchinson would be the big one,
and they haven't been playing terribly well to begin with.
Nope.
And I see them as limping into this tournament, which is not a good way to be.
No.
Ireland stumbled their way into it, which is
just a bit.
Not for the reason.
And somehow they're number one, stumble, which is why I don't get the whole world.
I don't get that. The world rankings
so
make no
on
sense
that right
to me.
now. Once New Zealand got unseated, I was officially lost. I was like, I don't get how this is all working.
It doesn't make sense, but it doesn't, and it doesn't matter. Like I think people put a lot of stock in it. It's up or a lot.
I put very little. I think New Zealand took pride in it, but I don't put a lot of stock in who's ranked where.
But a lot of people do. They're like, oh, we want to be number one. It's like, what does that matter? It's who hoists the trophy?
If you hold the Webb Ellis Trophy at the end, I don't think that really is going to matter where you rank in the world. Just a thought.
I don't really care what Ireland are ranked. They're not. They're the best team in their pool, but that's not saying much.
Well, and look who we'll talk about in the knockout stages, but they're gonna have a tough matchup either way. But on the other end of this pool stage here, and I
actually do think that Japan beats Scotland.
They very well could be.
They're not gonna. We already know that they're not gonna surprise anybody. But I think that they can just play better than Scotland can, and they can do things that those centers are so like that. There's nothing there. They're not attacking.
I don't mind Chris Harris, but like that's it.
Right.
Really, he's the only one that does anything for me.
Like, obviously we have a warm spot in our hearts for Duncan Taylor.
Dunk.
But
I was surprised he got on the plane. I really was.
Right. He wasn't even that like he didn't really play last year. And
I mean that to you sometimes.
Yeah. He was injured, granted.
Yeah.
But even the year before, it's not like he was any kind of world beater for Saris. He was just
he was a solid contributor,
right?
Which is what he's always been that.
And but that's a solid contributor at the Premiership level, not at the
World Cup. Yeah, you're right.
Everything raises all this. The stakes raise, the play has to raise, and he's not the kind of guy who's going to be able to do that physically. I don't think.
Let's talk about the team that's. Let's get into the Pacific Island team that's in the Samoa. Probably, in my opinion, at least the third of the three.
Yes,
Fiji's probably 1, Tonga 2, and Samoa 3, which leads me to believe that this could be a rough pool for them.
Yeah, they'll blow out Russia because everybody's going to blow out Russia.
Oh, so let's talk about Russia for a second here. This is going to be an ugly World Cup for them, and I don't think anybody understands how ugly it's going to be. They were technically the third team in their qualification tournament, but the other two about them got disqualified because of player eligibility rules. So they're here by default. And I mean, Romania or Spain would have been one thing, and I thought it would have been cool to see the Spaniards here because that would have been another country to put their flag in the World Cup bin here. But Russia coming back and being like the third best team in their qualification pool and getting thrown into the I mean they're going to start with the host, and I think this is going to be
That's
I don't know if you remember what the 1995 score for New Zealand Japan was.
no.
We might see something similar with
Okay.
this in this Japan game.
Wow.
It was bad.
Yeah, and seeing what the Japan did to the U.S. and the U.S. is not a half. I mean, they're not a great team, but they're not a
They've got some solid players on
right
them for sure.
So let's put it this way: the U.S. deserves to be in the World Cup.
Yeah,
Russia doesn't,
and they qualified number one out of their group.
Right, but Russia's that far down, and Japan. So the disparity is going to be that much greater.
Yeah, and Japan's one of those tier 2 countries that's kind of closed the gap a little bit.
Oh, they very much have.
So they're obviously their last little surprise in 2015 against South Africa put them on the map.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna be a rough World Cup for Russia. You might see a record for points given up, honestly. And I'm not saying that because of how good the teams they're playing are. Grant, I think they'll have a hard time with the Samoans. The Samoans are going to freaking embarrass them probably too.
Going the other way too. What's the record for fewest points scored in the World Cup?
I don't know, but they might be pushing that one too.
Might be pushing two records in one tournament. Russia.
Two records you probably want nothing to do with.
And multiple other ones as far as disparity in score of individual games too. It could be bad.
It's going to be pretty ugly. Let's talk. So we said I think we're both in agreement that Ireland win this group.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do we get a surprise and Japan sneaks out as the host?
I have them as the second.
I don't think
place.
I think it's a lot closer. I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination. I think it's a lot closer to a possibility than it has been in a long time, especially with them hosting it.
Right.
And they're especially I think that Scotland Japan match is what it comes down to, and I do think they win it.
Yeah.
So, and if they don't, they're going to put on a heck of a show just the same.
Right. That's going to be one hell of a match.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows what's at stake. So, I mean, Scotland aren't stupid, so it's not like they're going to, well, not too stupid. So they're not going to go into it with thinking, oh, we got this because it's just Japan. They're going to realize the situation that they're in.
And I hope they grasp the situation because they'll get caught with their pants down real fast.
Really, the question is, can they maintain their mentality through that? Because they get a little pressure put on them right now, and they're just crumbling.
Yeah,
we saw Laidlaw just kind of fall apart a couple times.
Goodness, and they played the Georgians in their last two warm up games, and I mean let's be real, and we'll get to Georgia a little bit more in a minute, but they're gonna be stingy.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt to push away. So, and I think they showed it against the Scots in those two games. So we shall see what the Scots are able to bring after that one. Hopefully that kind of gave them a shake up to maybe get them to get their juices flowing, but we'll see.
Who knows? Yeah,
we'll find out. First match they play against Ireland, and that could be a bit of a deflator if Ireland show up and do as we expect them to do.
Especially because what Ireland's going to do is, they're just going to defend, and Scotland is going to get frustrated because if they can't sort out an attack, that's gonna that could demoralize them a little bit. And then you come to Japan, and you play Japan, and now all of a sudden their attack is creative to say the least, and they should be able to defend. So it's the same question of, you get a little bit demoralized on offense, and then do you get demoralized on defense too? If Japan sneaks one or two line breaks past you all this quickly. Yep.
They have the ability to do it.
They do.
They have some talent back there.
Yep.
So we shall see what happens. I think we both agree in the prediction that Ireland are going to win the group. Japan may well come in second.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be a shock. Let's play devil's advocate with this one a little bit, though. What happens if Ireland loses this opener to Scotland? How much of a shit show does this pool just become?
A huge one. So I'm kind of rooting for it now.
You're welcome.
Huge.
I put that idea in your head.
Because now that Scotland-Japan match doesn't actually decide as much the outcome. Right. So, yeah, now it really is that round robin between those three as to who comes out, who can pull out.
Yeah, it could make things interesting. It'll definitely make things interesting.
One of those teams has to pull out 2 wins. So
of the other two.
So which one is it?
Yeah, so that would be fun. We'll see. So pool A, it's an exciting pool, but not because of necessarily the teams that are in it and the form of the teams, but more because of the closeness that this could turn into. Pool B. Now, the first match in this pool
Determines the winner.
and the other, and really they can both those countries can just coast to the knockout stage,
Yep.
which is bad news for both the runner-up and the winner of Pool A, because both those teams will probably be pretty well rested. They'll be able to rotate guys and not really have a lot to worry about. So New Zealand, South Africa being the first game of this pool will be obviously a humdinger. It might be the match of the tournament, of the knockout stage, or the pool play. Sorry, that one.
There you go. It's going to be good.
Agreed. It should be fun. I want to say that Italy can give both these teams a run, but unfortunately,
I don't think so.
It's just not going to happen.
I think that they bring South Africa and New Zealand bring an element to the game that they're just not used to seeing.
Yeah.
So,
to say the least.
Right. And yeah, the other teams are catching up, but you can't. There's very little to do with a team like South Africa that has just the giants in the forwards that can move.
They've gone back to old school.
But they can move. So they have the athleticism, but they also, if they feel like it, can just steamroll you. So
yeah. Snyman and Vermeulen, the first
no
two
way
that come to mind on that one for me.
Yeah. So and then you have.
Keep going. Yeah, you're good.
Can we talk about Kolbe? Can we talk about Mapipi? Can we talk about Nkosi?
They don't have Gianti, but their substitutes for him were just as fine. So
yeah, I mean, they're like the power up front and pace up front, followed with the pace that's going to be out wide.
They're going to be a tough crack.
They are, and Italy's, even if you go with the reserves, I mean, you're still going to go with two of those three that I mentioned at wing.
Yeah.
So
kind of have to.
It doesn't really matter which one is coming at Italy. They're both going to just.
They're gonna probably have a day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go look for one in the park.
I can tell you that as somebody that went and watched this team 4 years ago, Brian Habana just had a day against the U.S. and he was just having fun. He was just running for fun.
And that's going to be a lot of the South African backs this time around too.
Yeah, especially in some
different opponents, same result.
Right. Namibia, unfortunately, there used to be one guy that I knew right off the top of my head, and I could name him all day long, Jacques Berger.
Right.
Obviously, he's done. He's walked away from the game a few years ago. He was a great servant to that country. They've become the team that qualifies out of Africa, not named South Africa, which is great. But I mean that's where Jacques Berger got him to. Mm-hmm. But oh man, I don't know.
It does set up so we talked about South Africa, New Zealand being maybe one of the most competitive match of pool play.
Yeah.
The second most competitive match of pool play might be Namibia versus Canada.
Maybe. Man, I have to say, the Canadians are really disappointing the last 2 years or so. They've fallen qualified third out of the Americas. Mm-hmm. They had to win that repechage tournament in order to get that last spot, and it wasn't that easy for them there. Now they have some great players. They brought some good guys, and we'll talk about them when we talk about fantasy stuff. But and obviously Ardron's the big one that jumps out because he plays for the Chiefs down in Waikato. But holy crap, this team's this is one of those countries trending in the wrong direction, and they're still in a World Cup, and they're going to be in a pool with two of the best teams in the universe. Mm-hmm. Top five, two top five teams, in my opinion.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Oh yeah, I mean those, like New Zealand it would not surprise me if either of those two teams, New Zealand or South Africa, hoisted the trophy at the end.
Right.
And I think those.
That could be the final.
Yeah.
So it'll be tough. And we'll see what. Again, Italy. They have two wonderful servants to the game of rugby in their country, and that's Gialdini and Parise. Mm-hmm. 4 and 5 World Cups for these guys.
Wow.
That is unbelievable. And I feel terrible for them being such quality players to have so many losses in international play under their belt. It's like,
it's the downside of having that many caps with Italy.
Right. Yeah.
You're a great player. Unfortunately, it's for Italy.
and they're great players. Parise is getting paid a boatload by Toulon when he leaves. So, it is unfortunate, but yeah, Italy's not quite made the steps forward, which is I think one of the reasons why they let Conor O'Shea go, or they're parting ways with him either way. So I think he's done plenty for the country, but at the same time, I'm sure they wish they had been a little further along than they are right now.
And they'll still win. I mean, they'll still leave with I'm guessing they'll go
Probably
2-2.
two wins, yeah.
So that's not a bad World Cup, especially when you're
Automatically qualifying third, which is what you want.
right. And when you're in a pool with New Zealand and South Africa, to come away with 2 wins is
tough.
It's yeah.
It's tough sledding for sure.
Is.
So who wins the first game, therefore winning, and I guess this will, when we get to pick them later.
I have New Zealand winning this match.
Okay. And then this pool.
So South Africa coming in second.
So South Africa gets runner up, and by our calculations would face Ireland. Oof,
yes.
Oof.
And
Should be a humdinger.
New Zealand would play Japan.
Yeah. That would be fun, and that's probably where Japan's tournament would end.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pool C, our boys, the Eagles, and probably only inch out 1 win out of this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, hopefully.
So and because we're Americans, we'll just jump into the Eagles real quick. I expect them to take down Tonga, and maybe inch a bonus point out of France, and that's it.
I don't know.
Or Argentina, one or the other.
I hope they can stay with make it not too embarrassing against Argentina.
Right.
That's a team that I would like to see the U.S. play well against, because
especially in our region.
Right. They're in America. They're kind of, that would be a good measuring stick. We've gone up against their B side a bunch.
And done well, and then
not done so well.
So.
But that was also, we did not done so well was down there. So it's different.
It was really hot, although it's going to be really hot in this tournament.
It's going to be hot there, but both teams are traveling, so it's not
it's not quite the same.
Right, it's not the cozy home match. It's a nice away trip.
Agreed. So yeah, U.S. Obviously, I think England wins this group, assuming they don't take anybody too lightly, because that would obviously be...
They can't snooze against France.
No, they can't.
Or Argentina.
No, they cannot. That'll be bad news bears right there.
Right.
France and Argentina are two countries that aren't in the best of form. Again, but and we talk about the French all the time. They find one performance usually, and where it comes is anybody's guess.
So now what I'm interested in seeing for France is that they've actually implemented structure in their attack. They implemented the 1-3-3-1.
Hooray!
Which, good for them. It's annoying as fuck to watch the game after they have done that, because the announcers will not shut up about it. It's not as if it's some amazing thing. No, it's just a structure. It's just a way to organize your team.
Calm down.
But that's the one thing that we've been talking about for, at least on this pod, for a whole year now, about how
for a while now.
There's just no structure. It's just play.
Play.
So this I think will help organize the team and make them more dangerous. If you can get them to understand their jobs better, within what the team's trying to accomplish, that's a huge benefit. So I don't know that it might be a little late that they did it in the run up to the World Cup. They might want to have tried that for Six Nations or something, possibly
something to that effect.
But that also means that it for professional athletes, for these guys, it shouldn't take a lot to learn. So I think that could help organize them and focus their energies, which is really the big thing that does. You don't have to think so much about, oh man, where can I best fit? It's this is where I belong.
This is where you go, right here.
So that'll help organize it and make their attack a little bit more efficient. So I think that alone could give them a boost that we need to factor in here. Against a team, the teams like Argentina, they could give England. They could. What I'm saying is, instead of having that one game, they could have 2 games.
They could. Hey, we could get 2. All right.
Right. And then maybe that turns into 3 in future tournaments, and
perhaps
then by
they
Six
can finally
Nations
break through.
Yeah.
And win they're 2 or 3-time finalists, I think. And haven't brought the big one home yet.
Right, and I don't think they're going to be finalists this time.
I don't think they are either this time.
But I do think that they're going to.
Surprised.
I think they advance.
Right. So I think we're mostly in agreement as long as they don't take the foot off the gas too much. England take this pool. Argentina or France goes through. Which one?
France.
France.
I have France.
Okay. All right. And I just have such a. if you had asked me this 6 months ago, I would have said Argentina. No
Yeah,
problem.
I don't
But
disagree.
Argentina have gone so far down. They they haven't looked great. I really would think that, mostly, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. They sent 2 guys home that I have no idea why they sent them home. Fagunda and Cordero. Why?
Yeah.
What? Tell me who
benefits
the
from
things,
Cordero being at home?
Right. His club team in France does, but that's it.
Right.
Why? Those are 2 guys that should have been no-brainers, like
Right.
permanent Sharpie on your roster.
Right.
Cordero, Fagunda. Like, what is going on in this man's brain? I don't understand.
Well, there's a lot of the pressure. This is where the pressure gets to coaches. Not during the tournament. It's and it will during the tournament, but at the same time, this is where you shit the bed. Now you have to think of your team, what you want to do, and we've seen that with multiple teams. I mean, we've already talked about Scotland a little bit. I'll get to that a little bit more later.
Yep.
With now we have Argentina. We have some things to get to with England.
Yep.
There's a lot of teams that you're left scratching your head, wondering. These guys are clear and obvious. They have to be on the plane. They have to be there, and they're not.
But
now, with England, that I think the odd thing is with England, you can kind of make it an argument that they'll be okay with what they did.
Right.
So with that being Cipriani and Alex Good,
yeah,
they can do all right without those 2. They don't need them, but they certainly
would be more help than hurt by far.
For Argentina, they need Cordero.
Yeah. I don't and I do love some of their pieces besides him, but at the same time, like he makes people look silly with his feet, and they're tackling air, and it's not that they're tackling air; and he's by them before they've even made a move.
And then the fullback back there is like, oh, he's tackled, and then no, he's not, and then he has to react, but Cordero's off like a shot, so it's now you're catching up.
Yeah, and he's fast too. On top of that, so that's not good. I will say there was a surprise for me, and we're in America, so I might get flack for this. There was a surprise on the plane for me, and that's Mike Teo. You and I both don't necessarily love him.
I love him in sevens.
To be fair, to be fair? I know. To be fair, I don't know who else they bring instead of him. That's the only thing.
Right. I mean, it's not like this team is good enough for anybody, or any one person is good enough in America to be like, yeah, that's a clear and obvious. Like he should be on the plane instead of Teo.
So that's the only issue with that. It's really hard.
At least Madison Hughes isn't on the roster.
He is not.
That's a good thing. And nothing against Madison. He just doesn't have the size.
He's a great sevens player.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic sevens player.
Right.
But I am getting a little sick of the whole let's bring sevens players to the World Cup because it is such a different game. And
right.
I can't. Well, we've seen guys play terribly that did that, and we see a couple guys that play okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And the one guy, and we'll get to it when the U.S. Plays their first game. But the one guy that I'm really excited, and I hope the rest of the world gets to see how good he is Bryce Campbell. Like, that dude is so good. He's going to play for London Irish this year. I hope he gets a lot of playing time with them because the guy is legit. He could play center for a lot of clubs.
And that's actually the interesting thing about the U.S. is as much as we we don't want to, but as much as we kind of shit on them because we want them to be so much better than they are, but that's their center combination is legit.
Yeah, most teams would sign up for a Lasike Campbell center combination.
Brenton Palamo is not. He's no
slouch either. Yeah,
right.
He's played for Bristol.
Right.
So he's not. These aren't bad guys.
No.
They're just playing against guys that are a little better.
So what's going to kill? It's not the front line starters that are going to kill the U.S. It's the depth. Because you have AJ McGinn. Like, you look at these guys. They're you could fill a front row with professionals and
Premiership guys. Paul Mullen, who's played for Newcastle for Tafete and Titi
Lamosatelli. So these are guys that can that can play at this professional level, but then you get to their backups.
It's like Hilterbrand and Fawcett, and and we like those guys because they're playing for our boy. They're our boys. They're playing for the U.S. We like them, but we're also very realistic about what we have with them.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I mean, it's not like you have the what was it with England, Jamie George and
Cowan Dickey,
Cowan
and
Dickey,
then
and it's
Singleton.
They're just rolling through guys that there would be studs pretty much for anyone, and
basically anybody else. Yeah.
The U.S. doesn't have that luxury, so
it's just not what's up.
Yeah, and with the matches, and that the way the matches will go, and the schedule, you're gonna have to be playing some of these guys against top teams that are just not ready to be playing. You got to rotate
guys, because otherwise guys are just going to be too exhausted. So we're saying England and France sneak out of this pool.
Yes.
And England probably won't sneak out of this pool. They'll probably
they'll walk out.
This will be the opposite of what happened in 15, and everybody will be excited about that. So at least everybody in England, and then France. So that'll leave them awaiting the winners and runners up of Pool D. Wales, Uruguay, Georgia, Fiji, Australia. There's some interesting teams in this one. Unfortunately, so here's the thing. Uruguay's not that bad.
No.
They've been put in a really tough pool with the best Pacific Nations team by far, honestly.
Best Eastern Europe team.
Yeah, like the best European team that's not in the Six Nations in Georgia.
Right.
And Wales and Australia. And Georgia,
Wales were the best team in Europe this year. So,
and Australia, who find ways to rock up for the World Cup even if they're having a bad year. So I mean, they were finalists 4 years ago. There's no reason that they can't do it again as long as they can get their shit together.
That's funny because my note for Australia is, can Australia get their shit together?
On the same wavelength here. On the same wavelength. Yes. We're on it, baby. We're on it. Already starting off the year hot.
Right.
Yeah, obviously Wales Australia is going to be the match of this pool. I think Wales win it in their semi-ugly fashion as they do sometimes. And Fiji maybe beats Australia.
I have Fiji as my second place team.
Oh, there's a fun one. Okay, yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
They'll be. I look at their lineup and I look at their team and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of good fucking players.
And they can do some fun things with the ball.
There are guys on that team that just outright scare me.
Right.
Like, oh my god.
And it's just the question of that's what it goes back to. Can Australia get their shit together? Because if they don't have it against Fiji, Fiji's going to take it to them.
Hot take: if Bernard Foley starts that game, they lose.
Agreed.
If it's not Liliafano,
Foley,
he's having a rough go of it. He's not in good form. He's not with it. Simple as that. If anybody is sitting here saying, "No, that's bullshit," I don't know how much Australia rugby you watched then, because Bernard Foley was not playing amazingly for the Waratahs, and he definitely didn't play that well for Australia. So rethink that, please. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Georgia, they are just going to be they won't win more than the game against Uruguay probably, but what they will do is they're going to break some bodies.
Right, they're going to be a little physical.
And I was looking at their roster earlier. Basically, take your name and add Vili or Odza onto the end of it, and that's a Georgian name.
Right,
like holy shit.
Yeah, I'm looking through the rosters. I'm like, I can't pronounce these names. I know some of them are really good, and I know some of these guys. Holy shit.
I was actually surprised to not see Giovanni from the Wasps on this team. So he's a decent runner at the very least.
He is.
But obviously, they've figured out something that they like better. So.
Right, and he's okay. He's one of the. I think he's a kind of take it or leave it kind of guy. Every so often, he does something amazing. You're like, wow, what the hell?
Yeah, where's that from?
Right. But I don't. He's someone who I can understand not bringing on the plane.
Yeah. No, and some of them make sense for sure. Trying to look at there was one more name that I had off the top of my head, but it's not that important. Obviously, Mamuka Kakadze is obviously the big one for them. Yeah, he's just an animal. He's just an animal of a different proportion. So yeah, Georgia probably going to win one game. Uruguay is going to be without a doubt the whipping boy of this group, which sucks.
Yeah.
Australia potentially on the outside looking in.
That's what I haven't. That's where I haven't.
And Wales probably winning the group. Fiji sneaking into a second, setting up a fun match, which would be a fun matchup. England against Fiji.
Yes,
that would be a very fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
So I think that'd be really cool. So yeah, let's get into the knockout stage. So it'd be, according to what we've gone through, is first it would be Japan against the All Blacks.
Yep.
And Ireland against South Africa. And unfortunately, I think both teams from Pool B probably would win both of those matchups.
That's how I have it.
And then
England,
coming out of
Fiji.
C, it would be England and Fiji. England probably would get it done. It would be,
Yeah.
again, like we said, a very entertaining game. It'd be a lot going on.
Yep.
I think England might shit their pants at some point.
Probably.
Because it'd be a little closer than they'd like.
Yeah, they want to wear.
But that's what Fiji does.
Yeah, they might not want to wear their whites for that.
Yeah,
There's nice blue uniforms.
Yeah, keep a pair of Depends handy
Right.
there.
Wear your brown shorts.
Bring me my brown pens. And then France and Wales. Wales seem to have France figured out
Yep.
over the recent years, so I'd say Wales takes that one. So that would set up would it be a Welsh?
It's England versus New Zealand and Wales versus South Africa.
Oh boy.
And
Now,
and
all right,
at
so
that
here's the
point,
thing.
we will all need changes of pants
Yeah,
for those games.
Those games are going to be fucking belters. Those would be great. It'll be interesting for me to see, because going by history here, the hex has been put on Wales and South Africa as the recent champions of their regional tournaments.
Mhm.
So is that how it goes? Do neither one of them win it? I mean, obviously one of them is going to get to the final in
Right.
this case, if this is how it plays out. I will say this: the winner of that England New Zealand game wins the tournament.
See, I don't have it that way.
No,
Okay. So I have England beating New Zealand.
Okay.
Only because they
Sam Underhill
gets his revenge.
Yes, Sam Underhill's revenge. Courtney Law's revenge. Never mind
Right,
that.
too. But I have England winning. It's hard to pick against New Zealand, but fucking everyone's gonna pick them to win. So
Right. A lot of people are. Yeah.
and I think England have found something this summer that is they're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think they're ready to do what they need to do, and that's been the problem with them against,
And
especially
2015's got to still have that taste in
Yeah.
their mouth where they're just like, I really want to redeem ourselves
right.
here.
Like that's one of those that you if you're playing it on a video game, you just hit the reset button. You're like, I'm fucking playing this again.
Exactly.
and
That's not how it's going to happen.
right. It's not going to go down like that, man. But so I think that they're going to do what they need to do to win,
Mm-hmm.
which
Okay.
that's what you have to do against New Zealand. It's not so much having your plan. It's okay because they're going to punch you in the face. They're going to do something that's going
those
to fuck up
Kiwis
your
hit
plan.
you pretty hard.
So then it becomes what do you need to do to win, and I think England are prepared to do that, and so I think that I have them winning there, and then I have South Africa beating Wales,
Setting up a rematch of 2007
with England
with the same result.
England versus South Africa, same result.
Okay. All right.
And this is coming from.
I don't think I disagree with anything as far as the final goes. I think England get their second trophy.
I would love to see it too.
Yeah.
Shuts
a lot of people up, that's for sure.
You know how I feel about South Africa, so
You've had some strong feelings.
I've had some strong feelings, and I'm coming around, and I'm now getting more because it is that they're not the big bullies. I mean, they like I said, they can be, but they don't base their game around just beating the shit out of the opposition and into submission and then stepping over them for a try. Now it's no, I'm going to use my size, run gaps, run holes in your defense, and then we're going to give it to these fast guys.
These really fast guys out here. Yeah, there's some pretty wild stuff that's going on out there.
Yeah.
All right, so that, and then we I think we've gone over our surprises as being Japan and Fiji getting out of their groups. I think one of those teams getting out of their group would obviously be a shock.
Would be shock.
And I don't think either one's a stretch of the imagination at this point. This is the most open World Cup we've had in a long time.
Yeah,
it really is.
There's a lot of teams that
there's nobody that's like super favored. Yeah, there's teams that you look at and think they're in good form, but again, there's nobody like in 2015. It was really hard to pick against the same All Blacks team virtually that played in 11.
Right.
So it was really hard to pick against them. Now
that
doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
And and the gap between the lower grouping of tier 1 and the upper tiering of upper grouping of tier 2 is
narrowing.
Is very much narrowing.
Right.
And it's almost overlapping.
I mean, look at Fiji beating France last year.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, there's nothing that would surprise. Well, I shouldn't say that. Something's going to surprise me.
Yeah.
But when it comes to those teams, the Fijis and the Japans, nothing would surprise me for them.
Yep. Okay. So we got our surprises, we got our winners. We think Ben's leaning. We're both fairly in agreement on who gets to the final, and I think we just split our.
Yeah.
We split the difference on who wins. But let's think about if teams are going to get to the final.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think about the players that need to put in amazing performances for them to get to said final. And so as we like to call it sometimes, the X factor.
Right.
I have, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 teams here.
Yep.
None of them are actually include Japan or Fiji, so we could probably delve into that a little bit if we have time. So age before beauty. New Zealand. Who's your X factor for them?
My X factor is Artie Sevilla.
Good one.
Because you'll get Kieran Reid and at 8. Maybe not for the Shag Games. For the Shag Games, you're probably going to get Artie at 8.
Probably.
But for the top games, you're probably going to get Kieran at 8 and Artie at 7 or 6.
Right.
And I cannot wait to see him with
the ball in hand.
With the ball in that role. Reid is a very solid player. Obviously, he's the captain for a reason.
He's a leader.
He's absolutely a leader. He's not and when he is a game changer, it's fucking fun, but that's rare.
Yeah, so he doesn't set the world alight.
Right. No, he sets things up for those talented players to just not have to think. They can just run through a gap.
Mm-hmm.
But Sevilla can do all of it, and I think as he goes with that role, so go the All Blacks.
Absolutely. So I kind of knew you were going to say Artie, so I didn't pick Artie.
Okay.
And even though he's probably not going to be ready until a certain point because, he doesn't really need to be outside of the first game. Brodie Retallick.
That's
super dynamic second rower for New Zealand. You talk about a guy that can change games just because he's a threat from somewhere that you don't know, and he spoils lineouts like I don't know if there's anybody better at spoiling lineouts than Brodie Retallick.
No.
And that's saying there's a lot of guys that can do it well.
And he's a master of the driving tackle followed by the poaching that ball.
Yeah.
Like that, all of a sudden he'll just be like, no, you know what? You guys have had that ball for long enough. I'm going to knock your ass backwards and then get up and
scramble to his feet and
take it. Yeah. And take it from you again.
If only he was just a little prettier. It's all right. His talents make up for it.
They do.
So yeah, Brodie Retallick. I'll go first on this one. South Africa. Mine, and we talked about him before. Kolbe.
Yeah.
Cheslin Kolbe. He is so good in the loose. And we talked about guys that can make people miss. He's so goddamn good.
Yeah.
And he provides that element that we talk about that South Africa were kind of missing for a little while. Mm-hmm. No longer being just the bullies. You have to be able to run around people too. And we saw Kolbe do it for Toulouse, and he does it quite well. So I would say he is a huge factor in how well they do.
And he's one of my 4. So the first name I mentioned is just a guy we've been excited about watching ever since we saw him. We first saw him earlier this year, which is Herschel Yankees.
Yankees, yeah.
Which you gotta, he'll be amazing.
I'm so glad he's on that plane.
But he's one of 3.
Let me tell you that.
So he'll be an amazing. He'll be fun to watch during their Shag Games because that's probably the time.
That's when he's playing.
That's when he'll play. But other than that, it's that the 3 that I mentioned earlier, the Kolbe, Mapipi, Nkosi.
Right.
Those 3
are
going to be how those wings attack and play is going to be that.
Yeah, that's going to be that extra oomph that the South Africans desperately need because they can do all the big bully strong stuff so well.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I guess back over to me.
Yeah,
for Australia. To me, this one is almost a no-brainer because it seems like he's been a catalyst for them starting to play very well this over the summer, and that's Nick White.
Yes, that's a good pick.
I mean, they've had
Yes.
they've had Phipps, they've had Genya,
Werner.
and yeah, they've had other options that have just not. They haven't been the catalysts. They've been solid players. Genya is very
Genya's
good.
definitely better than Phipps,
Right.
by far.
But now I think Nick White, I didn't expect it. I mean, he's a good. No, I'm not saying he's not a good player, but the spark that he seems to have provided them when he's in that game is completely different from what I've seen Australia recently. So I'm going with Nick White.
Yeah, I like that pick. Another guy that kind of went the same route as Nick White recently for the Wallabies, and he seems to have fixed all the issues that got him kind of shunned away. James O'Connor.
Okay,
he is gonna, if he is on form.
Yeah,
he, to have that threat from a 13 position, and and then they still have obviously some decent wingers to finish it. I think he can just turn it on. He can turn a game on a dime with his ability and his skill. That's why he was so touted when he was young.
right.
But obviously, it's also the thing that probably filled his head with a bunch of bullshit that got him to do all kinds of dumb stuff that got him shunned out of Australia.
Yep.
But he fixed himself. He was able to make himself right against while playing for Sale here in the Premiership. Or I say here, I watch so much Premiership.
Right.
I feel like I'm watching a home match. But yeah, in the Premiership, and he's just I commend him for that. But I also think that he could be that extra guy that Michael Cheika picked that really is going to make a huge difference.
I would love to see it. I mean, that's the difference between what we were looking at with Fiji moving on, and potentially Australia. I think those two guys are going to be. I think we named the two that are really going to be the decision points there.
They have to perform. Yep, agreed. Argentina. I'm going to say it. I'll say probably one that's obvious. Nicolas Sanchez. That as that team goes, he goes. We saw the Jaguares in Super Rugby, and Bonilla. Bonilla is not on the plane for a reason, and the reason is because Nicolas Sanchez has been playing so well in France, and they really feel like he can be their guy again. He's been their guy before. He was a big factor in them cutting up Ireland in 2015 in that quarterfinal. I think if he plays extremely well, Argentina will see another semifinal. So that's one for me.
And I have it as I don't have any specific individual player. To me, it's their pack play.
Yeah,
because
we've seen what happens.
If you look at their experience levels, everyone in their pack, almost everyone in their pack, has significant experience at this level. And then you go out to their backs, and it's the same thing as we were talking about with the U.S., where they might have
first level's good.
They have their first level. Their starters are fairly experienced and talented. But then when they get together their reserves, it's guys who are going in to this World Cup with one or two caps.
Yes,
and that's going to be
it's a little terrifying.
It's a little scary for that. So that means that it's going to be their pack. If they're going to win, it's going to be through their forwards.
Yep, I agree. That's not a bad pick either by any means, especially with the likes of Gus Creevy, sporting that team around.
England.
Yeah, you sir.
So the X factor for England, as far as I'm concerned, is George Ford.
Whether or not he plays well or not,
I'm nervous. that was my thing. George Ford. I'm nervous there.
Yeah,
because you have the just and it that really becomes an Eddie Jones question, but that you can't really do anything about that once the games start. It's just if you have a George, he attacks so much and he cuts off wide attacks when he probably shouldn't.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Yeah, and while that's great, and we'll talk about him when it relates to fantasy a little later, it really is going to be, can he play a true 10? And then what happens with Faz at 12? Like
he has to be on the field.
It's just weird to have an attacking 10 and a distributing 12. So it's unorthodox. So that's going to be.
I've talked to other England. I've talked to other English, and they're scared that thing's becoming a thing again.
Yeah,
and they didn't like it before, and they don't like it now, and I don't blame them.
I think the only person in the world who likes it is Eddie Jones.
Yep, or Ford.
And Ford, because if it wasn't for Eddie, he wouldn't be on the team.
Yeah,
it would be Faz and Sips, and then you
probably.
just fuck it. We don't need, we have actual centers at center.
Yeah, done. So for me, and you could kind of see you can see what happens to this team when he's not in it. And there were two guys that I was really thinking of with this, but he's definitely the one that makes it go, and it's Billy V. Billy Van Paul.
Yeah.
He's if he is healthy and ticking, good luck.
And you can see it early. It's
Good
one of
luck.
those things where he gets a carrier too early.
He busts a couple guys up, and he's like, okay,
and you can see him ready to he gets his napkin and tucks it into his shirt, and he's getting relaxed, unbuckles the belt a little bit.
Let's
and
eat.
Get ready, boys. It's going to be a long night. Yeah.
That's a true fact. So yeah, as Billy V goes, this team will go. If he's playing in form and he's healthy, good luck stopping this team, because that's that go forward ball that they need in order to be on the front foot,
Right.
and he always
he can
seems
do
to
it.
find a way to do it. It's just ridiculous how he finds ways to do it. So we'll see what happens with that. Ireland, and this is an obvious one that I could have said probably, and I didn't.
Okay.
And I'll explain my pick. I say it's Rob Kearney.
That's a good one.
And
I like it.
What it comes back to me for me really is one particular game, and it was the opening game of the Six Nations this year where he wasn't in. They had Henshaw at fullback, and it was clear that they were missing Kearney. It was really clear.
It was extremely clear.
So if they don't have Rob Kearney playing that position in the matches that matter, they are going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do anything spectacular, but he does all the things he's supposed to very well.
Right.
So that's the thing. So for me, it definitely comes down to Rob Kearney. If he's healthy and he's in form, Ireland will at least get to some of the places that they're thinking they will.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, and he's not healthy and he's not playing fullback, you can bet this is going to be a big old disappointment for Ireland.
And for them, their X factor is their defense.
Yeah.
And it's, can they defend their way past the quarterfinals? Because they're not going to score 30 points a game. They're gonna score 15 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, can they limit the other team? And they're going to do that by beating the shit out of other teams on defense. And then, kind of that same thing we were talking about with South Africa, just kind of stepping, beating them up on, except the opposite. They're not pushing them back on offense. They're pushing them back on defense, and then stepping over their crumpled bodies for a try.
Yeah,
or a penalty kick.
Yeah,
so,
that's a good pick. And the one thing that kind of like a shout to me for that I think we can't gloss over too hard is the exclusion of Devin Toner.
Oh, I don't.
And I don't understand it. He runs their
another
line out.
one. Right.
He runs their line out. So I don't know who's going to run their line out in this World Cup, because all I know is in the stuff that I saw from them, it was not good.
No.
Not with him off the field.
Him off the field, it was bad.
No bueno.
Even when they because it was the England match where they put him on late, and it improved their line out, but not enough.
It was already fucked.
Everybody was like, yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it gonna be Omani? Is he gonna run their defense and their
line out?
And their line out.
Man, good lord.
Right.
Good luck. That's all I got to say. So for Wales, and I think this is gonna be
back to me.
Yeah.
It's Dan Bigger.
Do
I need to say any more than that? Dan Bigger.
Yeah. No, I actually have Bigger as the same. It's pretty obvious why he is their only actual 10 left. He's really making it. He really is going to have to make this team go, and we know he can.
Right.
We saw it. We've seen it before. It's not when Anscombe went down and people were like, "Oh man, that's it for Wales." I was like, "No, it's not. What are you talking about? They're going to be fine."
Like, Anscombe would be my backup if like what are you doing?
For if you told a team that their backup fly half was going to be Dan Bigger, you'd be like, done.
Yeah, I'm
done.
in.
Sold. Slip my wrist.
Yeah.
Twist my arm here.
Where can I buy the jersey?
Right. So yeah, Dan Bigger definitely a big factor. This team will go as he goes, and I think he's going to do some fun things for them. The Scots. I'm going to stick with the same position for the Scots and go with Finn Russell, the magician. You saw it in that second half of the Calcutta Cup this year.
Yep.
And what he can make that team do.
Yeah,
and if he is in form, he is fun to watch, number one. And number two, he makes Scotland really, really hum in in their attack.
He does.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure Rossing's waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. But if he goes well and he's in good form and he's on it, then look out. Scotland's are going to be. They may not be able to play defense, but they're going to be a tough team to stop on attack.
So my X factors for Scotland are two guys that I don't think you would have expected in this situation. So how they do will be determined by the play of two players, Hugh Jones and Rory Hutchinson.
Hutchinson's not on the plane now.
Neither is Hugh.
Yeah, the guys that sub for him.
No. How well they will only win if Hugh Jones and Rory Hutchinson play well.
Oops.
That's where I'm going. I'm significantly down on Scotland, if you can tell. And those two, why aren't they on the plane? I'm going back into this thing, but what's the point? Love Finn Russell. Love him.
Yeah.
But he can only operate if there's people outside of him, and he can't have Finn, a 10 and a back three, and that's it.
Yeah.
At your backs.
No, that's not going to do well.
None of those other centers are really good attacking options.
No.
Certainly not on the level of those two. So I agree with that Finn Russell needs to be amazing, and he needs to be the guy right now.
Yeah.
But the absence of those two is going to limit what Finn Russell can do, which is going to fuck the Scots.
Right. And the reason that I picked out Finn Russell only was because I saw what happened when Adam Hastings was starting at 10. I like Adam Hastings as a club player. He's definitely not that good internationally, unfortunately. Just hasn't turned that corner. So that's bad news for them. So that's why I picked Finn Russell out of that.
No, that's a great pick.
You're not wrong either. You're not wrong either.
I could have said Finn Russell myself, but I figured one of us would take that. Yeah. The other two would shit on Gregor Townsend a little bit more.
Yep. And then one of the wild cards in this World Cup, the French. For me, it comes down to Dupont. He played spectacularly for them in the Six Nations. He's done so well for his club. If he continues said form, I don't know why they're not at least going to do a little bit of damage. Because the youth on this team is amazing. It has to be said.
It is. They have some. I think we're both a little puzzled as to why Ntamak was not starting in their last couple of games.
Right.
So it's hard to assume that
they put Camille Lopez on the plane, which I didn't understand.
Right. So it's hard to know whether or not he's going to be starting there too. So that's why it would be those two. Instead, I'm going to go with their structure, because that's going to be the difference. That's going to be, to me, that is, if you're going to talk about an X factor, that's it for France is, can it help them rock up on more than one game this tournament?
Yeah, they're going to need to.
Yeah, because they need to. So that's going to be that I think will change their game.
Right. All right. I didn't print the pick'em sheet, but I have the grid right here.
What is this amateur bullshit?
Yeah. So let's do pick'em for this round, quote unquote, because that's how TRM has separated it for their own sake, which is not a bad idea for us. Helps us get our shit straight a little bit.
So let's for the people out there, where is their date or week? What is their designation of weeks?
Their last game that they have listed for this round, quote unquote, and we'll get into this when we get into fantasy, is Monday. The Monday game, Wales and Georgia.
Okay, all right. So it'll be Friday to Monday.
Yep.
And then that'll be start the next one Tuesday to what have you. Got it.
Yep. So we'll get ourselves sorted as we go through this. But let's start with this. Japan, Russia, I think it's pretty obvious who we both want. Japan.
Hosts.
Yeah. I don't think that is any surprise to anybody. This is a big one to start this pool. Australia, Fiji.
Well, I picked them, so obviously I'm going with Fiji.
Yeah. If this wasn't the first game, I might pick Australia.
Mm-hmm.
But since Fiji's probably going to pull out a lot of stuff that they haven't shown.
Right, they can surprise them a little bit.
Yeah. I will go with the Islanders. France, Argentina.
Les Bleus.
Les Bleus, eh? Yeah, I need to see it from Argentina before.
I agree.
So, Big one, big one, big one, big one. Probably the
You know what
biggest.
though? It's not a big one.
Well, it is.
That's the funny. It is and it isn't.
It is.
it's
because
it's good.
They're both going to advance probably,
Right.
but it's a matter of all right, who wins the group and who doesn't.
Right.
It just gives you a slightly better matchup coming.
Yeah.
Coming out of it and looking for who's what's it.
That's fair.
You know. Okay, so New Zealand, South Africa.
I mean, I'm going with New Zealand because I had picked them to win the pool. So.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Let's put it this way. I think this is what they'll do if they start Bud Barrett at 10 and not Mwanga. And don't put Barrett at fullback. He's not fullback.
Right.
Then yeah, I'll take the Kiwis. Italy, Namibia. I think we can both agree that it's going to be Italy.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we go. Here's the fun one. Ireland, Scotland.
Oh, that's Ireland.
Yeah.
Again, that's the defense. Like the Scottish set up their backs to defend more than anything, and right. That's not what you need to play against Ireland. You need to be able to attack and have some creativity through the centers.
Right.
To unlock Ireland's defense, and
they don't have it.
They don't have it. So
yeah. And then England Tonga, as good of a game as I think as I think Tonga will give them. The Rose takes it for that one. And then Wales, Georgia, again, I think Georgia's going to smash the shit out of these guys, and Wales will be needing some serious ice bucket time. But I think the Wales take it.
Yeah, I mean, Bigger's going to run them all over the park chasing kicks.
Yeah, and some of these boys are big boys.
They're big boys. They're
not going to enjoy that.
So the first 20 minutes, first half are probably going to. This will be a close match. Mm-hmm. But then that 20 to the 40 to 60 minute period right there is I think when Wales will really start unlocking Georgia and separate themselves permanently.
Yeah. So we didn't get cute and win the pick on this time, but that's okay. Well, there'll be a day where we separate, but this is you don't get silly in the first week, that's for sure. So we're back. Thank God.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this day since we did the finale in July. It's gonna be a fun pod year for us, I think. We already gained like a small following over the summer, which was I was like, how did we?
We haven't even been potting.
I was like, we haven't done anything. So yeah, everybody, thank you very much for listening to us. Tune in for the fantasy preview later on this week, and we're really happy to be back. Let us know any questions. FantasyRugbyPodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you check out TRM and join our group for Rugby World Cup Fantasy. It's just the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. You'll find us there. We already have like 10 or 12 people in that one.
Nice.
So that's nice. We'll have a nice league, it sounds like. It'll be fun. But in the meantime, everybody kick back, enjoy your rugby, and go Eagles.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.